Good morning, viewer. Welcome to our first TV USA. Here is a breaking news. Biden turned the ruble into rubble. Then it quickly came back. Some current and former treasury officials, foreign exchange traders, and sanction experts say the ruble's rebound does not necessarily mean the West's economic weapons are losing their punch. A raft of punishing sanctions sent Russia's currency crashing in the weeks after the invasion of Ukraine. Barely a month later, the ruble has tracked a dramatic recovery, putting pressure on the Biden administration and its allies to deploy even tougher measures to undercut the Kremlin's ability to finance the war. The Russian currency, which was trading at about 84 rubles to the dollar on February 23rd, the day before President Vladimir Putin launched the attack, had plunged roughly 70% by March 7. As of Wednesday, the ruble was nearly back to its pre-war level. That's partly because a surge in oil and gas prices. Commodities that were explicitly carved out of the initial sanctions has boosted Russia's energy revenue. The strength in the ruble is reinforcing the argument for those who think that we need to take greater steps on the energy side, said Rachel Jambio, an adjunct senior fellow at the Center for a New American Security. It is definitely increasing that political pressure. Some current and former treasury officials, foreign exchange traders, and sanctions experts say the ruble's rebound does not necessarily mean the West's economic weapons are losing their punch. While there may be reason to escalate sanctions, the currency's comeback primarily reflects the extraordinary steps Russia's central bank has taken to stop the ruble's free fall. They say it is not a sign of an improvement in the Russian economy or in Putin's return. Still, Russia's economic policymakers have responded. So it is now the West's turn to answer, said Daniel Glasser, the former Assistant Treasury Secretary for Terrorist Financing during the Obama administration. It is very hard to keep sanctions the same because the target will do things to adjust. Glasser said, so I do think it's important to keep the pressure on. And I think keeping the pressure on means increasing sanctions. Deputy US Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo, who is traveling across Europe this week for meetings with his counterparts, signaled where Western allies are headed, saying on Tuesday that they are planning new sanctions on more sectors of Russia's economy, including its military supply chains. Now that our actions have blunted Russia's ability to use its central bank assets to prop up its economy and fund Putin's brutal war, we are going to increasingly focus our efforts on going after industries that are critical to Russia's ability to project power, purchase the military equipment necessary to continue the war effort, and invest in the other tools of repression that are a part of Kremlin's playbook, Adeyemo said in a speech in London. Biden administration officials have repeatedly pointed to the deteriorating currency as a sign of the swift and devastating impact of Western sanctions, which including a coordinated efforts to cut off Russia's access to its war chest of foreign reserves. As a result of these unprecedented sanctions, the ruble almost is immediately reduced its rubble, President Joe Biden said in Poland last week. Biden has faced constant calls from Republicans and from Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to ratchet up sanctions, and while the ruble's resurgence may be strengthening the argument that the US and Europe need to do more to cut off Russia's energy exports, those are not the only opinions. Edward Fishman, a former Obama State Department official who played a central role in crafting sanctions after Russia's 2014 invasion of Crimea, said the US could go much further, including escalating the sanctions that have already been imposed. For example, the US has imposed full blocking sanctions on only one of Russia's five largest bank and has cut only seven financial institutions off from the SWIFT international payments system. While the US has targeted Russia's defense and banking sectors, it has not imposed major restrictions on any of the big players in the mining and metals, transportation or shipping sectors. The US and Europe, I do believe, deserve a lot of credit for the solidarity and resolve they have shown on sanctions. Pisman said, the sanctions are clearly impacting Russia's economy dramatically. However, I think that we have stalled out a bit. There is a lot of room for escalation, he added. Treasury officials say they don't see the ruble's rise as a sign that sanctions are no longer effective. One official pointed to a series of steps the central bank has taken to limit Russians' ability to get rid of their rubles, including barring commercial banks from selling dollars to customers, prohibiting Russian brokerage firms from letting foreign clients sell securities, and limiting how many dollars Russians can withdraw from their bank account. Those all have the effect of artificially inflating the ruble's value, the official said. The retracement that we have seen from its historic weakness is really coming from this extreme policy decisions that have been made by the central bank, the person said. We don't view this as demonstrating any kind of strength in Russia's economic outlook. Looking beyond the ruble, the outlook is clearly ominous for Russia. People are contributing to what the White House calls a brain drain and trying to pull their money out of the country. Western businesses are closing up shop and interest rates have soared. Economists at the Institute of International Finance estimate Russian GDP could contract by 15% this year. The Western financial sanctions and exports controls, coupled with the reluctance of many companies to do business in Russia, have also made it exceptionally difficult for Russia to import goods, said Jaimia. She said, the revenue from oil and gas is from contracts that were signed months ago before the invasion began, suggesting that funding source could begin to dry up if more companies decide to self-sanction and stop buying Russian oil. But there is no evidence that has happened yet. IIF chief economist Robin Brooks said on Twitter, posting a chart showing tanker traffic at Russian ports in March was on par for previous years. Beyond the report, for TV USA.